Good afternoon. Welcome back to the workshop. Got a project here on the bench that's a project for me, actually, for a change. Haven't worked on anything for me for a while. And I know several of you have asked me about the 1937 Epiphone. That's still on hold. I'm waiting. I've ordered some stuff that's coming slow boat, if you want to look at it that way, and it seriously is taking forever for that. So I thought I would jump onto something else. Last time I had some Strats in the workshop, and I do have a couple of other things that people have brought, but I thought I would sneak some time in and work on something for myself. What I'm going to do today, I did actually a video on this. It's probably been, my goodness, probably 2 years ago maybe. It's been a long time, and I did a introductory type video on this guitar. This is one of those K guitars. This is from the 60s. It's one of the rare Ks that has an adjustable truss rod. Can you see that there? And it does work, by the way. So we're good with that. But you can see it looks a little different than it did in the introductory video, because when I got the Epiphone Archtop, I kind of changed direction on what I wanted to do with this. I'm going to do something pretty funky with this, so that I'll share with you in another video. I'm not going to share that with you today. What I'm going to do today is we're going to do the mock-up on this guitar. I've got the tailpiece here that's going to get mounted. I'm going to install the tuners, the nut that I made. This is a unbleached bone, and I just started with a block of unbleached bone and kind of carved the nut there. Way back to that introductory video, this guitar was not playable. Somebody had taken the and replaced the nut with something that was way too low, so all of the strings were just sitting on the first fret, and in fact somebody had taken a file and really gouged. So I've replaced this first fret, and then I've leveled all of the frets, which when I put this in, this fret here was about 20 thousandths or so higher than all the rest of the frets, so I took this one down, and then so that it was roughly the same level as everything else. Then I did my typical fret leveling. The only thing I haven't done yet is the polishing, and I didn't figure that was really necessary for the mock-up. So the frets are still just, all I've done was taken the crowning file. I haven't even done my 600 grit sandpaper or anything yet. The tape is to help us. We have to get the tailpiece in line with the fretboard so that the string spacing is okay across. And this is I think a Kluson tailpiece. Pretty nice, chunky, beefy tailpiece. And that's going to go, probably overhead would be better to show you that. It's going to go roughly there. I'm going to center that. I've already made my mark. You probably can't see that, but I have tape. Where do I have tape? There. I have tape way up at the top, the first fret, the top of the fretboard, with a mark half in the center. This has a mark in the center, and then this has so I could take a straight edge and just line everything up. So I know I'm coming down the center of the fretboard, down the center. Well, it's really not the center of the guitar. Let me see if I can show you. Maybe on the camera here, we'll pick that up. You can see the center of the guitar there. Oh, not sure. Yeah, there we go. So the center of the guitar is here, and then where the tailpiece is mounted, you can see it's off center, and I just confirmed it does need to be there for the spacing to be correct. And I've seen that on several of these Archtop guitars, especially these K kind of cheapy little, and this is not an expensive guitar, so what I'm doing to it, listen, is yeah, it's not going to be an original guitar anymore, but there's no real value other than, you know, the value that, you know, it was a gift to me and I can pretty much do what I want. You can see I've stripped all of the finish off the guitar. Back to that introductory video, it had like a sunburst type finish with some tiger striping, and I was thinking about fixing all that up and just using it that way, but I've decided again to go in a different direction. So alright, I'm just going to let the camera roll, and I'm going to do some of this work here, and I'll have to find a drill bit and all of that to pre-drill the holes in the tail for the tailpiece here, because it's a different hole pattern than what was on there. You can see the big hole in the center there will be for the strap button, and I am going to put typical, I like the Fender style. I'll show you that later in the video. This will probably be several videos actually. What I'm doing now is just putting the ferrules in, the bushings, whatever you want to call these guys. They're going in pretty good. It's a snug fit. It's not overly tight. If I remember, I drilled this headstock out for these. These are, I don't remember the exact. I could measure the posts. I could measure this for you. I've got my caliper here. Let me just see and put it on millimeter, and I could tell you looks about like a 9 millimeter ferrule bushing. So I think I did from the original, because the original tuners did not have these guys. They didn't have ferrules. It was just the posts up through the headstock. So I had to drill that out a little bit. So did that a little bit without you. Again, I did the frets without you too. You've seen that in several of these. I did buy some new tuners. These are Wilkinson Deluxe tuners, and they're, you can see, I think these are 18:1 gear ratio, and so they're going to get mounted. I'm going to, again, the idea is to get the guitar playable, so I am, let me actually flip the guitar over here. Again, I'm just kind of letting the camera roll and let you see what I'm doing here. The idea is to get strings on, to roughly do a setup just to make sure the guitar's going to be nice and playable. And I apologize, the workshop is like crazy messy, but that's what happens when you work. Kind of make a mess. I've straightened it a little bit, but man, it's still, and I'm going to put, it's still a little bit messy. All right, let me find some screws here that we can use. These might be, how many do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4 per side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 there, so I'm guessing these are the screws. Tried to keep everything separated in little bags. So we'll pop the screws in here really quickly. Rather have my other little screwdriver for this. But this is just a mock-up, so not too overly concerned about things. I'll probably actually end up doing my little toothpick trick for holes. In fact, I'm not going to put all 8 screws in. I'm only going to put tops and bottoms, I think, just to hold it just good enough to hold the strings. And I'm actually going to put, when I do the final setup on this guitar, it'll actually get 13s, but I don't have a set of cheapy 13s to play around with, so I'm going to set it up with 12s, test everything, and do this initial little setup here with a set of 12s, and then I'll have to reset it up anyway. Once I take everything off, put it back on and all that. I'll do that with 12s. Alright, so there are the tuners. Let me find the screws. I'm going to move you back, I think, to this view. Might give you the best viewing here. I think these are the screws for the tailpiece. So let me just grab those out. And again, for what I've always heard anyway, and you can correct me if those of you who are way better at woodworking than I am, but I always heard that find a drill bit that is roughly half the size of the screw for your pilot hole. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're looking at right at 110, 115, so we could go, what, 55, what is that, around 55 or so, 60, that's going to be way too big. I think I have my other set of drill bits out in the, oh, that one right there. I just got lucky. My other set of drill bits is out in the garage. These screws should be going into the tail block, so I'm not too worried about the depth, but I will kind of check it. And what I do is just have the drill bit in the drill, and then I hold the screw. And yep, we're going to be just about good. What I've done is I've put the drill bit in the drill as far as it will go, and that's going to help me. I need to pause for a little bit, let the drill charge. I'm going to drill those pilot holes. I'll bring you back when I have this mounted. Okay, back with you. I'm putting in the last screw here for the tailpiece. Thought I'd show you that maybe. And it's going to be mounted. Again, you want right size pilot hole, the right size screwdriver, all that kind of stuff. All right, so we're, let's see, good there. And again, it doesn't exactly line up with the center. The actual center part of the guitar is here, so it's off center a little bit, but it is centered this way, which is the important way. So I think next order of business is to put some strings on this puppy and see if she'll play. So I'm going to just set the nut in place. And it's a chilly, rainy fall day here. I'm not sure where it is or how it is where you are, but pretty chilly and rainy here today. Of course, again, these are light strings, so they're 12 to, I think lights are what, 12 to 53. This guitar's going to end up with 13s on it, which is a medium gauge string, but I'm going to put the outside 2 strings on first, just because we need to do that to kind of hold everything in place, tailpiece and all of that. So let me, and again, we're just doing mock-up here, so testing playability is the first thing that needs to be done. And I have no idea how we are with string height or anything like that. So we'll just have to measure everything. Let me maybe move you there. I don't feel like I've been doing a good job running the camera in this particular video, but you can see I'm gonna have to, I'll take the Dremel tool and I'll chop these screws off, but that's gonna have to come up quite a bit actually. I did a neck reset on this thing and may have overshot the angle just a little bit, but so that just means the saddle will be up a little bit higher. But that's okay. It'll work. Means if it just means if it moves over time, we'll have some room to play with. And it sounds like it's really starting to rain out there. All right, what I might do, just as a side note, I don't know if you can see this or not, but that is a slab of tusk material, and I'm thinking about maybe carving it to match. It's a little thinner, but I think it would work. Thinking about maybe trying that to see how it would sound on this Archtop. So stay tuned for that. But let me roughly get the string height dialed in. Again, we do that at the string height is at the 12th fret. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I've got my trusty saddle here with 5 64ths and 4 64ths. So let's see, we're going to need to come up some more because I don't have all the strings on it yet. And again, this has to be redone when I get the 13, so side was too high for some reason on the it is making noise, so that's a good sign. Let me do this. I'm going to pause you again. I'm going to get the rest of the strings on and get it roughly. I have to adjust the bridge for intonation, forward and back, and all of that. So let me get these 2 strings intonated, get the other strings on, and I'll bring you back and I'll play a sound on it because it should make noise. And then we can move on with the rest of the mock-up. So I'll be back with you in just a minute. Okay, welcome back. Got the guitar feels really weird because there's no. I mean, it's just really rough. I've done just a bit of sanding with some 120 sandpaper. The finish is gone. So it feels weird on your hand, but it's playable. Strings are still stretching a little bit, and I still have these. Let me see. Yeah, so I had to replace these screws in the bridge, and so the heads are still on here. At some point, I'll lop those off with the Dremel, so those kind of catch your hand as you're strumming a little bit. But again, just for mock-up. And just some test strings that I don't really like a whole lot. Just as matter of full disclosure, it looks like down in here, I will have to do a little more spot leveling on the frets. I did that fret job in kind of a hurry, but if you listen, so I need to do a little more leveling. With the radius block and all of that, and it's actually the first little bit of a, hear that? Not so bad. A little bit on the third, but then 4th, 5th, and 6th are okay. So it's just the bottom end down here that needs to have a little more work done. So I'll take care of that, no big deal. And again, that's these Dragons DR dragon skin strings, which are not my favorite. They're real squeaky, and I don't really like the sound of them. They kind of have a dead, muted sound to me, as opposed to like the elixirs that I normally play just kind of ring out. So, but seems to be holding tune really well. The truss rod or the neck relief was at 10 thousandths. I do have to do a little work on the nut. The first fret action is normally I like to have about 18 thousandths clearance there from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. Kind of a snug. I mean, you use the feeler gauge and you can hear it in there, and right now it's at 35. So, but that should be easy on this because it's a flat bottom nut, so it should be able to just take the material off. And I need to trim a little more off of that edge. I can just kind of feel that edge a little bit, so I'll do that with the file, and then we'll take some sandpaper and knock the, what is that, not quite 20 thou off the bottom, 17 or so thousandths off the bottom. Plays pretty easy. It's a 12-inch radius neck, so it plays. It's a not a bad feeling neck. Plays fairly well. If all goes well, I'm going to add it to my one of the guitars I take to my shows, my acoustic shows. I like to take just to add some interest to the show. I usually take 3 guitars and kind of swap between guitars and do different tunings, and I'll take the 12 string most of the time, do some songs on the 12 string and all of that. But yeah, it's making noise, so that's a good thing. So I think we're safe to move on. Let me kind of give you a shot of it there. Here's that, the tailpiece. Everything lines up really well. The string spacing across, where the E string hits the fretboard on this side compared to the E string on this side is really, really good. The string spacing across the nut. Whoop. Get you in the video here. That might help. The string spacing across the nut is really good. Feels good. Nothing feels out of whack other than the string height being a little high at the first fret, but I'll take care of that. So replacing this fret, that worked out really well. Carving the new nut. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I need to pause you because I'm going to take all of this stuff back off the guitar now that we know it plays. We can take all this stuff off, put it back in its box, and set it off to the side. And then I want to try to figure out how I want to mount this guy. We're probably going to have to modify the body here, and so this can go down into the body. There's braces that run across here, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful with that. I can't get inside because all I've got is these F-holes, so I don't really know. I can feel the brace with my finger there, and as you would expect, the brace is close to the edge of the outside of the brace. On that side is close to the outside of this, so I would assume the braces kind of run this way. They come at an angle this way, so have to be careful. We don't want to take any of the bracing material out and cause a problem with the structural integrity of the guitar. So what I may do is just take the Dremel and just take, because we've got a decent amount of thickness on this plywood top, and I can just carve away some of that until we get the right height. So that may be the direction that I go with this, but have to think about it and all that, kind of wrap my head around it a little bit. But I think that's what I'm going to do, and try to fill in underneath here and all of that. So anyway, I've rambled enough. I'm going to pause you, get all of this stuff back off of here. Now that we know the guitar plays, I'll wrap these strings up, put them back in the package, and we can use them on another project. So here we go. I'm going to pause you, get all of this stuff back off of here, clear it off the bench. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to mess around getting this pickup installed. So be back with you.